Organ transplants are one of the greatest medical marvels of the 20th century. These procedures not only save precious lives but also help to improve the quality of living for lakhs of people each year. Countless acts of generosity by organ donors and their families have made organ transplantation not only a life-saving treatment but also a shining symbol of human solidarity. But the disparity between the huge demand for organs and their poor supply is an issue of concern. Organ shortage is a global issue, and deceased organ donation is a major sustainable solution. India's organ donation rate stands at a low 0.34 per million population when compared with a donation rate of 26 per million population in the United States of America, or 35 per million in Spain and 36.5 per million in Croatia. In India too, the government, doctors and NGOs are working to create awareness on the need to donate organs. And while good progress has been reported from states such as Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh and Gujarat, we still have a long way to go in improving organ donation. Apart from life-saving organ transplants, bones are the most commonly transplanted tissues, second only to blood. Thousands of cancer and trauma patients need bone transplants in India every year, but only 35% of them are able to get them on time. So in today's episode of Science for a Self-Reliant India, we will talk about the importance of organ and bone donation, the science and technology behind it, and what better way than to showcase the cadaveric bone bank of All India Institute of Medical Sciences, or AIIMS as we know it, in New Delhi. Here, we will see the functioning of a bone bank and how the doctors at AIIMS apply innovative techniques using bones from the bone banks instead of the prohibitively expensive imported metal prosthetics to improve the lives of patients free of cost. Bone donation not only improves the quality of life for the patients, but in many cases saves their lives as well.
The main differences between the donation of say eyes or I would say even heart and kidney and lung and bones is that a kidney donation or a heart donation or a lung donation is a life-saving operation, whereas the bone donation is for enhancing the quality of life. But the difference also is that whereas the heart donation will benefit one person, the kidney donation will benefit two persons. With a single person donating bones after his death, up to 20 lives can be affected, 20 people can benefit.
Organ and tissue transplantation has saved as well as improved the quality of countless lives in the last few decades. With advancement in medical sciences, human organ and tissue donation is fast developing into a major treatment protocol and is accepted as the best line of treatment for a wide range of fatal diseases as well as in cases of accident. However, despite the success rate of organ transplant surgeries, India still lags behind in the number of people coming forward for the cadaveric donation program. And while the number of organ transplants done per year in the country has increased from 4,000 in 2013 to around 13,000 in 2019, and India now ranks third in the world, only behind USA and China. Organ and tissue donation involves harvesting tissue: bone, tendons, ligaments, skin and parts of the eye such as the cornea. Although some organs such as the kidney and tissues like part of the liver, pancreas, lungs and intestines can be donated while the donor is alive, most of the donations occur only after the donor's death. Even when he or she is alive, they can donate either to near related people like parents, spouse, children, etc., or other than related like
don't take your organs to heaven. Heaven knows we need them here on earth. So, when somebody is brain dead and it's only a matter of time before they leave for their heavenly abode, there's a window of opportunity for them to give life to many people who will continue to see, or who will have their heart beating in their chest, or they'll breathing from their lungs, or they'll be living because of the kidney which they donated. And otherwise we are just going to consign these to the flames. So there is no way to as yet to synthesize or manufacture these organs. It only comes from human source. So I think that has to sink in. And like I said, the cadaveric donation program in India, even if that gets a boost, it will solve the problem of organ shortage to a great extent in India.
The recovery of the organs is performed in the operating room where the donor is being cared for. The recovery team consists of surgeons, nurses, the transplant coordinator and an organ preservation technician. Just prior to being removed from the donor, each donor is cleaned of blood with a specially prepared ice-cold preservation solution. The organs are then placed in sterile containers, packed in wet ice and transported to the recipient's transplant center. It is important to ensure that the organs such as the heart and lungs be transplanted within 4 hours after being removed from the donor. Livers can be preserved between 12 to 18 hours. Pancreas can be preserved from 8 to 12 hours. Intestines can be preserved approximately for 8 hours, while kidneys can be preserved between 24 to 48 hours. While organs can be transplanted within defined timelines, tissues such as cornea, skin, heart valves and bones can be harvested and stored in the tissue banks. These tissues can be used later for future transplant and reconstructive surgeries. Bones are the most commonly transplanted tissues, second only to blood. We have all heard of blood banks and eye banks. Similarly, bone banks also exist. While blood banks and eye banks are known amongst the public, bone banks are lesser or even unheard of by most of the people. A bone bank works just like a blood bank. Like for most other tissues, matching is not required for bone transplantation except for the size. The number of people who required banked bone is rising every year. It has been estimated that over 3 lakh people around the globe receive bone transplants every year. More than 25 times the number of people undergoing kidney transplant and 100 times the number who undergo cardiac transplant. Asian countries like Sri Lanka, Indonesia and Malaysia, including India, have set up bone banks to cater to the increasing demand. Of bones at the bone bank and to understand why medically they are so important. Bone banks are essential for transplantation and the development of new surgical techniques. Losses of musculoskeletal issue or bone due to different situations have become common, especially with the longevity of the population and surgical conditions, as well as requirement for younger patients due to medical reasons or in accident cases. Bone banks are essential for providing biological material for different orthopedic procedures, ranging from high-energy trauma cases to procedures such as replacement of the hip, joints, knees, etc. The donated bones are used to fill cavities left by major surgeries as well as for replacing a lost segment of the bone due to injury, infection or cancer. The main reasons for bone transplant include malignancies, failed replacements, spinal surgery and massive bone loss following trauma. This also enables surgeons to save the affected area and prevent handicap. Transplanting bone from a bone bank gives practically unlimited quantities of the bone for the reconstructive surgery with fewer incisions, less pain, and thereby decreased morbidity. The bone from the bank remains the only practical option in cases where a whole segment of the diseased bone has to be removed and replaced.
It heals. And we have cases which have 20-year follow-up where you can't even make out where the person's own bone is and where is the bone from the bone bank. It becomes a part of his body and is going to last as long as his opposite thigh bone. So this is a very lasting solution. The patient doesn't have to sort of get operated every 10 years or 12 years and then it's natural. The muscles will also get stuck to it because it's bone. And the very presence of a bone will incite a different reaction from the surrounding tissues than a metal or any other artificial material. So the body recognizes this as its own, and then the muscles and all everything attached to it much more readily, and the function is much better and much more durable.
Of two long bones, the tibia and the fibula, and the sesamoid bone, and the patella that serves as the kneecap. The foot consists of 26 bones, which are grouped into categories such as tarsals, metatarsals, and phalanges. To increase the safety of transplanted tissues, standards for bone bank operation have been defined by the government, which has limited the number of authorized institutions. The good performance in a bone bank depends on strict control over all stages, including formation of well-trained harvesting teams, donor selection, conducting various tests on the issues obtained, and strict control over the processing techniques. Femoral heads and cadaveric bones are retrieved in the operating theatre under sterile conditions. Bones that are not procured under sterile conditions require secondary sterilization. Gamma irradiation is the commonest method employed for inactivating bacteria, fungal spores, and viruses. The bones are then sent for culture testing, where a part
surgery in a live patient. The deceased is also given the utmost respect like a live patient. We take the bone with particular technique, we take out the bone, we prepare the bone and packed it in a 3-layer sterile container, basically a plastic, and keep it in the fridge box. And this fridge box will be -70 to 80 degrees Celsius, which is further irradiated and sterilized before being used in the other patients. And even this procedure passes through each and every step of documentation. Okay, this bone has been retrieved, this bone has been taken to the bone bank, this bone has been taken to the irradiation department, this bone has come back from the irradiation department, this time duration has been since the bone has been retrieved. Now this is ready for use to the patient. Even before using in the patient, we again take samples, bit of samples to send for culture and histopathology to be sure that there is no any infection in the particular bone.
can be made only from an actual human bone.
So when I was 21 years old, that is 19 years ago, I had a giant cell tumor at my left hip. So after that, because of that giant cell tumor, I had to undergo a total hip replacement surgery. So after that, there was a kind of infection and the replacement failed due to bone infection, that area. So then there was a stage that I lost my mobility completely, almost completely, and pain could not be subsided even if I consume say painkillers. So that's the time I consulted All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Dr. Rajesh Malhotra and his team. Then they performed a total hip replacement surgery, cage reconstruction, hip cage reconstruction surgery. And it's in the process of my surgery I could learn that AIIMS has a bone bank. Fortunately, they could find a bone that is suitable, I think, for my requirement. After that surgery, within 1 year, I started driving my car. I started taking students all around Delhi for a heritage walk. So, getting back that mobility, a life without pain is extremely important.
In India, there is an urgent need to create large-scale awareness to donate our bones. As a result, bone banks often face shortages of bones, thereby impeding critical life-saving surgeries. The reasons for low bone donation are numerous. This not only includes low awareness levels on the importance of bone donation, but many false notions and superstitions. Patients' families are reluctant to donate bodies to a bone bank mainly because they feel that the cadaver will get disfigured after the bones are taken out. It is such unfounded beliefs that are keeping people from helping other human beings. After the bones are taken out, the body is in fact reconstructed and the shape of the limb is restored with the help of wooden sticks, cotton and wool. The body is reconstructed and the shape and structure of the limbs are restored. So given the importance of bone and organ donation in saving lives of people, it is imperative that we all pledge our organs and tissues. It's an action which supersedes all altruistic steps that we may take in our lifetime, helping others live a full life after we have passed on. That's all in this episode of Science for a Self-Reliant India, only on India Science.